EastEnders Ben Mitchell is currently in the clink, and has been for a while at this point. In fairness, he got away with a lot before he was finally felled by a dodgy credit card scam when he headed stateside, desperately searching for alternative treatment for Lola Pierce, Danielle Harold, who'd recently been diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor. Upon arrest, he was extradited back to America to face trial and ultimately ended up being slapped with a 6-year sentence. It was all a bit ham-fisted, to be completely honest, but with Ben having been axed and with no way a legacy character was going to be bumped off, nor willingly leave his daughter Lexi, Isabella Brown, to depart in a black cab, a prison sentence probably made the most sense. Max Bowden, the latest in a long line of Ben Mitchells, was welcoming of the dismissal. The important thing was my time was ready. I was very tired and like I said, I wasn't me, he said when asked about the axing. The Max sat in front of you today was kind of a ghost and they recognized that. I recognized that. I did nearly 600 episodes in 5 years, which is a hell of a lot, and it was time for a rest. The character was tired, I was tired, the producers were probably tired of me being tired. From an honest perspective, I think a lot of it was that I needed to go for a bit. I needed to go work on me, get myself back to a place of really good mental health, focus on healing and also be a dad. Speaking recently to Inside Soap, Max mused on what his alter ego would be like now. I have a feeling that Ben is more disciplined, he offered. I think it'll have led him to go the right way as opposed to the wrong way and hopefully, there's some redemption in Ben's heart when he finally does get released. It makes sense, his last appearance showed a new attitude for Ben, but will we get to witness said redemption firsthand on screen? That remains to be seen. In his last stint Ben had formed Ballum, a powerhouse partnership with Callum Highway Tony Clay, with bad boy Ben and the bashful Bobby Callum becoming a fan-favorite couple, leaving a legion of broken hearts when they were cruelly torn apart. As Ben served his time, Callum moved on with Johnny Carter, Charlie Suff. When Callum's awful dad, Jono Highway Richard Graham, died in his son's arms, Ben, who'd moved to a prison in the UK, attended the funeral, before learning of his husband's burgeoning new relationship. Retreating back to prison, a truly broken Ben was visited by his parents, Kathy Beale, Gillian Tailforth, and Phil Mitchell, Steve McFadden, when all of the Mitchell-Hardman rubbish was dropped, and father and son shared an emotional talk. Phil took the lead, decided to be truthful about his long and arduous battle with his mental health and attempt to take his own life. Ben saw the courage in his dad's openness and followed suit, talking about the deep, gnawing pain of losing the love of his life and his feeling of hopelessness. Kathy stepped in to remind Ben that love would come again, and he has a daughter he needs to carry on for. A fruitful visit all around, Ben displayed an emotional maturity over the collapse of his marriage, and set about finishing his sentence with a renewed sense of hope for the future. Walford has never been short of dramatic comebacks, but few names spark as much excitement as Ben Mitchell. Ever since he left Albert Square, fans have been asking the same question. When will Ben finally return? Now speculation has reached fever pitch after reports suggested the beloved Mitchell could be heading back to EastEnders. Adding even more intrigue, comments attributed to the actor hinted that if Ben does return, viewers shouldn't expect to see exactly the same man who walked away. Instead, one major change could redefine one of Albert Square's most complicated characters. For years, Ben Mitchell has been at the center of some of EastEnders' biggest storylines. From family feuds and heartbreaking relationships to dangerous enemies and emotional struggles, his life has rarely been peaceful. His complicated bond with the Mitchell family, especially Phil Mitchell, has always driven many of the soap's most unforgettable moments. When Ben departed Walford, it left a noticeable gap. Characters moved on, storylines evolved, and Albert Square continued without one of its most unpredictable residents. Yet fans never truly stopped hoping for his return. Rumors surrounding a comeback have continued to surface, with every behind-the-scenes clue sending social media into meltdown. While nothing has been officially confirmed, speculation has intensified following suggestions that the character's next chapter would be very different from his past. Ben may have changed completely. Instead of returning angry, reckless and ready for revenge, insiders have hinted that Ben could come back with a fresh outlook on life. That single change could alter everything. Rather than allowing his emotions to control every decision, Ben may finally be learning to confront his past instead of running from it. It would mark one of the biggest character developments EastEnders has attempted in years. Of course, change doesn't come easily in Albert Square. If Ben were to return seeking peace, he'd immediately face the people who remember every mistake he's ever made. Phil Mitchell would almost certainly struggle to believe his son has genuinely changed. Their relationship has been built on years of conflict, disappointment, and moments of reconciliation that never seemed to last. Would Phil welcome Ben home? Or would old wounds reopen the second they stood face to face again? Then there's the rest of the Mitchell family. Some might see Ben's return as the perfect opportunity to reunite the family. Others could question whether his presence would drag everyone back into chaos. Walford has a habit of testing anyone who claims they've changed. No one stays calm for long. The emotional stakes would be even higher if Ben returned determined to repair broken friendships and damaged relationships. Imagine him walking into the Queen Vic expecting forgiveness, only to discover that life has continued without him. Some people may be pleased to see him. Others may wish he'd never come back. That's what makes Ben Mitchell such a fascinating character. He has never been entirely hero or villain. He's always existed somewhere in between. The teased big change could also influence the way Ben approaches conflict. Instead of throwing punches, perhaps he'd choose conversation. Instead of making reckless decisions, perhaps he'd finally think about the consequences. For longtime viewers, that would be almost shocking. But EastEnders has often shown that people can grow, even if their past never truly disappears. Of course, Walford wouldn't let Ben enjoy a quiet return. Secrets have a habit of finding their way back into the light. It wouldn't take long before someone uncovered something Ben had kept hidden during his time away. Maybe he left to protect someone. Maybe he discovered a family secret. Maybe he's carrying information that could destroy one of Albert Square's biggest families. Whatever the truth, Ben's arrival would almost certainly trigger another wave of explosive storylines. The Mitchells have always thrived on drama, and Ben's comeback could place them right back at the center of it. Fans have also wondered whether Ben's return would reopen old romances. Love has rarely been straightforward for him, and unresolved feelings could make his homecoming even more emotional. Would he try to rebuild bridges? Or would he realize that some relationships are beyond saving? The answers could shape EastEnders for months. Another intriguing possibility is how other residents might react to a calmer Ben. People who spent years expecting confrontation could struggle to trust someone claiming they've changed. In Walford, reputations don't disappear overnight. Even genuine attempts to become a better person are often viewed with suspicion. That's exactly the kind of emotional tension EastEnders excels at delivering. The audience would constantly wonder whether Ben's transformation is real, or whether his old habits are simply waiting to resurface. After all, pressure changes people. And Albert Square is nothing if not pressure. One unexpected betrayal. One devastating family argument. One dangerous enemy returning. Any of those events could push Ben back toward the darker side of his personality. Or perhaps for the first time he'd prove everyone wrong. If Ben managed to stay true to his new outlook, it could become one of EastEnders' most satisfying redemption arcs. Rather than repeating history, he'd finally begin writing a new chapter. That doesn't mean the drama would disappear. Far from it. Sometimes the biggest battles happen inside a person's own mind. Watching Ben fight to stay on the right path while the world around him spirals into chaos could deliver some of the soap's strongest storytelling yet. For now, viewers continue waiting for official news. Until then, rumors will continue to circulate, theories will grow, and every small clue will be examined by devoted fans desperate to see one of Walford's most iconic residents return home. Whether the comeback happens sooner rather than later, one thing seems certain. If Ben Mitchell ever walks back into Albert Square, he won't simply be revisiting his past. He could be introducing viewers to an entirely new version of himself. And in a place where everyone believes they know exactly who you are, that might be the biggest twist of all. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to EastEnders Spoilers Official.